high confidence that the election 2020 data were altered in the battleground states, resulting in hundreds of thousands of votes that were cast for President Trump to be transferred to Vice President Biden. That's the findings of a certain Dr. Keshavarz-Nia. He's a highly acclaimed, highly accredited cybersecurity professional, and he's working with Sidney Powell on the Georgia case. And I'm going to list you some damning claims here. Before we do that, I'm going to pop my non-paid for promotion, some brain force from AJ, and it's my regular red pill that I pop every morning. I haven't got many left, and I'll do a review on them, see if it's had an effect on my brain. Remember guys, you don't need to see my ugly face every day. You can subscribe to the audio podcast down below, the link's there. So yeah, here we have it. Dr. Keshavarz-Nia, highly acclaimed person, a cybersecurity professional. Anyone who works with IT security will know his name. He's been involved in some previous hairy situations, and he's come good. Anyone who knows the situations will know that he's accredited. And so he's got this to say. I'm going to read you some points. I'm going to keep it fairly mutual. Number one, the hammer and scorecard is real. It's not a hoax, as Democrats allege. And both are used to manipulate election outcomes. That's number one. Number two, Dominion and ESNS, Cytel and Smartmatic are all vulnerable to fraud and vote manipulation. And the mainstream media reported on these vulnerabilities in the past. Anyone who's been reading the news will know that that's true. They tried to say that these machines and systems were manipulated for Trump in the 2016 election. Number three, Dominion has been used in other countries to forge election results. I think anyone who knows Venezuela knows that this is undisputed, except, probably in logical sense. Number four, Dominion's corporate structure is deliberately confusing to hide relationships with Venezuela, China, and Cuba, and that's true. Anyone who tried to look into this right now is finding it hard to get that link, but there is a link. Number five, Dominion machines are easily hackable, and that's true. We've got sworn statements in the past, programmers and such, and that's why certain states haven't adopted the Dominion machines themselves due to security vulnerabilities. Number six, Dominion memory cards with cryptographic key access to systems were stolen in 2019, and that's true. Cryptographic keys, that's a big one, because that's what timestamps the votes as they get inputted into the machine. If you've got access to that, you can add votes into the timeline, and that's what appears to have happened already. So that's basically accusations, fairly strong. Dems are going to find it very hard to dispute these things, as it's what they've argued in previous cases. And basically he's going to conclude, this doctor is going to conclude the counts in disputed states: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia. So certain counties in those states show electronic manipulation. Sidney Powell with her Kraken isn't looking that nuts right now. Number two, the simultaneous decision in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia to pretend to halt counting votes was unprecedented and demonstrated a coordinated effort to collude toward desired results. And it is very strange. Most of us who were watching live when we went to bed that night thought, nice and cozy, we'll get to sleep, and Trump's got it in the bag. Woke up the next day, and things looked very fishy, with things getting turned around on a dime in certain counties. Number three, 1 or 2% of votes were forged in Biden's favor. That's all it took, except in some counties it was like a double-digit percentage turnarounds. Number four, optical scanners were set to accept unverified, unvalidated ballots. And I suppose they're going to verify this by having actual access to the machine and validating settings on them and running them through tests. It's looking good for Trump in Georgia, I tell you that. Number 5, the scanners failed to keep records of audits, an outcome that must have been deliberately programmed. It's going to look very... Basically, I don't know if electoral laws actually state that they need to have audits, so Dems might be getting through on some very, very small technicalities here. The stolen cryptographic key that we mentioned earlier, which applies to all voting systems, was used to alter vote counts. That's what I just said. So they could inject votes. If they had the cryptographic key, they could manipulate the timelines of votes that were cast on the machines or run through the machines and manipulate it however they wanted. 7, the favorable votes pouring in after hours for Biden could not be accounted for by a Democrat preference for mailed-in ballots. They demonstrated manipulation. For example, in Pennsylvania, it was physically impossible to feed 400,000 ballots into the machines within 2 to 3 hours. That is crazy. Let's just work that out now. Maths isn't that good. 400,000 divided by 60, that's an hour. Jeez, yeah, times 3. Or divide that by 3, divided by 3, they would have had to put through 2,222 ballots a minute. That's just not possible. Let's divide that by seconds. They'd have to do 37 a second. And I'd probably, watching a video, I'd probably say you'd need maybe 10 seconds per ballot. Dominion used, number 8, Dominion used Chinese parts, and there's reason to believe that China, Venezuela, Cuba interfered in the elections. Now, if you know anything about cybersecurity, there's a vulnerability on actual hardware chips in some computers that once you've exploited the vulnerability, you have access to the rest of the machine. What they're saying is because they had these Chinese parts, I don't know, maybe a mainboard circuit, a bridge or something, having access to that chip would grant you access to the rest of the system and allow you to inject those votes into the timeline with the cryptographic keys. So they're saying that that is an avenue to make it in. There's a statement where an employee, I think it's of Dominion Systems, or it could be Smartmatic, I'm not too sure. Dominion Systems, where he actually confirms that they have foreign parts, Chinese parts in these systems, and they say it's just because they couldn't source the parts in the US. So there is a vulnerability, but he was saying it was like touch screens and stuff like that. I don't think through a touch screen you could gain access to the main system, so this could be a bit weak. Number 8. Number 9, there was a hammering scorecard cyber attack that altered votes in the battleground states and then forwarded the results to Cytel servers in Frankfurt, Germany to avoid detection. And there's a big rumor that it hasn't been properly fact-checked or discounted, that US military, US secret service agents physically went to the site of these servers, Cytel servers, and extracted them. There's a rumor, and Sidney Powell said that there was a free-lettered agency that had it. She kind of confirmed it. But fact checkers sort of tried to say that the military didn't have it, but it looks like another agency has it. Don't know how true or false that is. 10, the last point, the systems failed to produce any auditable results. Now that's a big one. If you can't audit the system, you can't audit the votes. You can't audit the votes, you can't certify them. That's in my opinion. So yeah, we'll come back to it. Based on the above findings, Dr. Keshavarz-Nia, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong and you're listening to this, mate, concluded with high confidence that the election 2020 data were altered in all battleground states, resulting in hundreds of thousands of votes that were cast for President Trump to be transferred. It's a big one, guys, and it's looking like the evidence is mounting. The judge in Georgia with the Sidney Powell case has actually ordered that the machines be compounded, if I got that term right, for further investigation. We'll leave it there. This video has gone on far too long, but I think we've got all the info over to you. It's accredited data security professor. It's got PhDs, all those letters. So he seems to be there. He's highly accredited in the cybersecurity industry. Check out the other videos. Hopefully this video doesn't get rated, down-rated, cyber, shadow ban, whatever it is. Please share it. And remember, there's an audio podcast from these. Much love.